Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hi everyone, welcome to Dear Alice. Today we have another fun episode for you. We are going to talk about the designer-client relationship.
Complicated.
Right?
The gate, yeah.
Yeah.
Or does it have to be?
Yeah. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've always got her on speed dial or him and you're like, hey you, I was thinking about changing things up. And he'll be like, I know you. Let's do it. And he lights your fire, or she lights your fire, and you guys just know how to collaborate just right. So
finish each other's sentences. I think that
yes,
that's
and that you'd want to go shopping together.
right.
Yeah.
And we all want to have somebody, whether it's a friend or it's something, it is a project, and you have someone that you can lean on, because these are big, expensive decisions that we're going to try and lay it out for you on what makes a successful relationship with your designer, regardless of the size project you're embarking on.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. And help give you some ideas if you've never hired a designer before, kind of what to look for as you're starting to get a designer. Because as we've experienced lots of conversations over, 16 years, people will sometimes come to us and say, oh, I had a designer and she did this. Oh, I hope you guys don't do this. Or they'll talk about the pitfalls they had, and that helps us make sure that we do this with them, because that's important to them. And if all of that would have been communicated up front, I'm sure their current designer could have worked for them. Mm-hmm. And so just getting really clear on what they're good at, what they're known for, what their calling card is, then you'll know what to expect from them and what not to expect from them.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to break it down in this episode. But first, I wanted to toss out, was there a surprising place that you guys met a real friend in your lifetime? Your paths crossed randomly, accidentally, practically, something clicked, and suddenly you became this really close friend, like a friendship opened up in an unexpected way. Have you guys ever had that happen?
Do you have one in mind?
I have a list.
Sue has
you
good
are
ones.
the person that would have
I
a
drink
bunch
Corey's
of those.
water.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right.
Oh yeah, you should tell the story of Corey.
Well, yeah, and this is funny because you met. Well, you go. This is gonna be your story.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Tom. So I was interning for someone at the time who I randomly ran into yesterday. I haven't seen him for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It was weird, but yeah. So he would do these speaking engagements, and then I would speak at them. I had no validity to do that at all, but I guess I did it.
You're like, hey, I'm going to be giving a TED Talk today.
Yeah, exactly.
It's me, Corey.
23-year-old
talk
college
about
student.
how to play a guitar.
Yeah. And then I did talk about how I was a musician and I was in the process of starting a band, and Tom, Suzanne's husband, came up to me afterwards, and we're just talking, and that was pretty much it. He followed me on Twitter, we followed each other on Twitter, and that was it. And then 2 weeks later, randomly, I was at school really early, 7 a.m., way early. I was the only one there. Yeah. And that never happened. And I was just sitting in this hall, and down, come walking down the stairs is Tom again. And he just came over to me, and he's like, hey, how you doing? I was going through a rough patch in my life. And I was
Tom is Sue's husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was not good, man. And I didn't know Tom at all, but I was I'm just going to be honest with him. And yeah, I kind of just let him get the full story. And later that day, he tweeted at me and was like, hey, do you want to go to dinner? And I guess he must have felt he needs some, knowing Tom now, I'm of course,
food.
He would do that. Yeah. Let's go heal with food,
Yeah.
And so I was I don't know Tom at all, but I've known him for literally 8 minutes of my life, and I'm going to go, yeah, I'll go to dinner. Sure, let's do it.
What the hell?
Which is not me at all. So we go to dinner. That's where I met Suze. And it was awesome. The next day I interviewed at Alsane. So crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. Special projects.
That's why, I don't believe in accidents when you meet someone, and especially when it's kismet like that. It's just really serendipitous, and it's meant to happen. Yeah.
I agree.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would probably say how I got the internship in Alabama working for Southern Accents, and I went there, didn't know anybody in Alabama. Why Alabama, right? I'm in Alabama. I get there, Hurricane Ivan sweeps through the land,
Geez.
massive hurricane. We get through this like crazy little patch and we go to the mall, and I meet a girl named Elizabeth Moon at J. Crew. We find out that she has like she lived in Utah for a while, and we just like immediately clicked, me and Elizabeth Moon. And she was great. And she's like, hey, she's just like, actually, my boyfriend plays soccer for UAB. Like, you should come to the game. And I'm like, I don't have any friends. Sure. Like, I just met you at J. Crew. Why not? Like, it's a safe place. Anyway.
It's
so
really
she
reputable.
picks me up in Alabama and take me to the back roads of Alabama. Anyway, and so I went, and Tom was his roommate, her boyfriend's roommate. And so that's how I met my husband.
That's
crazy. I met him at a UAB soccer game after meeting Elizabeth Moon at J. Crew in Alabama after a hurricane. So as far as just like, I don't think that was by any means an accident. And just like we became really good friends. And anyway, we all follow each other still. And anyway, it was through that I met Tom.
That's crazy.
And through Tom that I met you.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's so good.
Tom's just a connector.
He is.
He's the reason we're here.
I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So good. I love it when things like that work out. And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about one of our favorite relationships, and that is with our clients. So we wanted to ask about this. We get asked about this dynamic all the time, how it works, what makes it work, what people can expect, and how we connect. So I think we should break this down into a couple different projects. And you guys are going to know where you fall as you're listening to this podcast. If you're a great big new build, if you're a remodel, if you just have one little space you're trying to fix up, your powder bath, or you want a new kitchen, or like Suzanne's emergency remodel, like a little one room type project.
There's a flood.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yes, or the third one would be if you're just refurnishing. So there's several different types of projects, and we want to talk about the relationship with your designer on each of these and how they work.
Yeah, and with that, I think there's several different types of designers also for you to understand as the client.
They're not all the same.
They're not all the same, and it's a very broad umbrella, this designer. Like a lot of people can say they're designers, but even like if you, I have 20 people, and they all get the same degree from the same university, they all have superpowers in different things. And they're going to be great at different things. And so really understanding, if you like have a friend that's a designer, understand what she's great at. You know,
also
or
maybe
if
the
she's
weaknesses
capable.
too.
Definitely weaknesses.
Because then you won't be disappointed if they're not a good stylist, but they were a great technician. You're like, she'll be great at getting my shower tile drawn up and everything specified, and I'll get all the right pieces and parts and not have any surprises there. But I know if I want it styled, I'm just going to hire a stylist to come in and style. So that's why we're breaking it down into 3 types of projects, because the last one we're talking about is furniture, and that is the last layer of your lifestyle, and not all designers are good at the furniture piece. And so just so that you don't get disappointed in what you're getting, we just want to help you ask the right questions and help qualify the type of designer you want for your type of project. Because designers won't always tell you that either.
Yeah.
You know, you can follow their Instagram page and kind of see what they're good at, but they also might have hired supporting characters to help style their projects. Like I know of a lot of stylists in Salt Lake City that just go in and they do a finished styling because the designer isn't good at styling, you know?
Yeah.
And so you'd be frustrated if you got a finished product that wasn't styled yet. You'd be like, why aren't there any throw pillows or art hung on the wall? Or why don't my nightstands feel like this beautiful
finished?
Yeah. So we need to know what we're getting. Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, I think that like we have done this like since the beginning and like gotten better at it too, is just the whole home, a whole home new build or a whole home remodel. If you are going into a big project and like you want to remodel a home, or you're like really getting ready to like throw down on a new build, like this is one of the biggest like amounts of money you're ever going to spend.
Yeah.
Right?
The biggest investment you're probably personally going to make in your life is going to be on probably your residence. Yeah. So you want to make sure and get this investment right, because you'll be really frustrated if you spend a lot of money like Corey did on his exterior and then showed up and it was color surprise, right?
It was, it was dealer's choice at that point, and I'm still living with it.
Surprise.
Thank you.
Now, how much would it be just to fix that real quick?
You know the crazy thing? It's like back then it was like $30,000. Talk to someone about it now, $50,000. $1,000. That was 3 years
That's
ago.
inflation for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Inflation. That's crazy.
You're mostly stucco exterior.
Yeah.
So to recolor a stucco on an entire house today would be $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be good not to be surprised.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
That's
so
because they
crazy.
also had that was me taking the stucco down, not just like, painting it or something.
Not tinting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also I would like maybe to get rid of this. If I was ever going to do that, if I ever do that, I'm going to siding. I'm not doing stucco. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Okay,
I'll
so-
ask the questions.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing you guys.
Okay. Perfect.
I'm client or like, the one.
The homeowner
Yes.
that's getting ready
With
to
all the
build.
questions.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
great.
This is perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
play along.
How do I choose the right designer?
Great question.
There's
How
probably a
do you
lot to
choose-
unpack in that, but
Yeah, I think how you choose if you're going to do a large project like this, how do you choose the right designer is by understanding their superpower. Hopefully, you've either seen their work, you've walked through their work, you know people that have used references. I think are huge because then you have just like a firsthand referral, basically, of how the process was. If it was broken, you're probably not going to inquire about the designer, but if you have some good relationships and they had a good experience, then that's a time to maybe interview that designer. I think too, when you're hiring a designer, hire someone that you respect their aesthetic. You respect the aesthetic, and you also you are going to interview them and learn and make sure that they have a process.
Mm.
I think those are two huge things when you're building a house or doing a massive remodel.
Yeah.
Is aligning yourself with aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And like making sure you trust them, because a lot of times, yes, we're going to be asking, like at ALID, we make sure if someone calls us to say that they want to use us, and we make sure before anything is ever signed, we have a couple different times that we meet to understand that like we are the right fit for each other, right? That like what they're trying to build is something that we can like be successful at, and they can be proud of, and we can be proud of at the end of the day. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing too that like is really important, they have the most questions for us on, is what is the process? And so we've been doing this for a long enough time that we have a really clear process on like where it starts, how the design progresses, and then kind of the different phases, because there's lots of different phases to design. You kind of have a design development when you're trying to develop kind of the direction of the project. Then you have like the design when you're designing every single room and the cabinetry and the tile and like everything, just the skin of the room, not even including the furniture. And then you go into construction phase, and then they're building the house. So you go into project management phase, and then you're doing furniture and install. So there's like quite a few legs to this animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you're with each other for a very long time. And if the designer that you're interviewing doesn't have a clear process on how this should work and what you can expect from them, that's a red flag to me.
Yeah.
Because you want someone that's done this before. You don't want to hire somebody that they're just out of school. This is their first rodeo.
I was just gonna say that. Yep.
Yeah, that's just like a poo sandwich, like ready to come out, right?
You're welcome.
Poo sandwich. It is. So
yeah, you want to
what
know
else?
I would ask them about their technical skills. Like, can my builder build off of your drawings? Can you draw up a kitchen cabinetry that then you can hand off to the cabinet shop? Now, the cabinet shop's going to create their own shop drawings, but they can look at ours and really see what the finished look is going to be. It's going to be dimensioned. It's fitting in the floor plan, because we've all used the same program that the architects have used. And these are technical. The tile drawings are all drawn in CAD. Every single thing is specified. We've got finished schedules. So you're going to kind of want to see examples of what that looks like and know that the work that your designer is doing is something that they can hand off to their subs, that they can go off and use these drawings to work with.
Yeah. And the reason a cabinet shop would put it into their program is to just create the cut list.
Yes.
So like if this box is 32 inches wide, like these are the, the sizes of the drawers and all of that stuff. So
they're ugly drawings.
Yeah.
Cabinet. If you're like, no, my cabinetry shop, they're going to be doing drawings for me. No need for you to spend hours working on that. You want to have like a designer design your kitchen and your cabinetry, because there are like special rhythms and special things that can be, because it can be great.
Yeah.
Yes, the cabinetry shop could do something, but it's not going to be necessarily inspired or make sense with everything else that you're like going through all this effort to make this house beautiful. If you want that overall flow and like that aesthetic to ring true to you in this style, you need to have the designer holding your hand and designing for you. And then that's what we do. The ALID, we actually do all the cabinetry drawings. We're very, very specific. We present to the client. Everybody's clear on the functionality, the aesthetic, and then they turn it over to the contractor who gives it to the cabinet shop.
Yep.
And then we even work with them. So it's like this really long tied relationship to get from like A to Z.
And that's because the designer has their finger on the pulse of, or should at least, of like what's happening. Like the cabinet guy's just worried about the cabinets.
Yeah.
He's not worried about like, you
Doesn't know
know,
what the
the
lights
doors
are.
and the base and the molding and like the lighting and you know what I mean? Like, he's just literally worried about executing his job and making sure that goes smoothly. So having someone to kind of be the touch point for all of those is huge.
Yeah. And there's little things like even within all the not just your kitchen, your primary bath, all the other bathrooms, there's little like instances where those things can kind of sync up so it feels unified.
Mm-hmm.
That I think the designer can help you do. And one that's like technical and it's going to like notate those things.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yep.
And I think along with being technical and all the other things, you got to listen to your gut and be like, do I like this person?
Yeah. Do you want to live with them
Do
for 2
I
years?
trust this person? Because Sue and I were just talking, and on a 8,000 square foot home, sorry, that process of designing that home is going to take about 6 months, right? And ideally, a good designer is going to get started way before you break ground, right? Because you don't want to come into the middle of a project that's an emergency, and then you just have to choose things that are in stock right now, and it's a custom build. So you're like, this could have been anything, but we have to choose white Subways because it's what's in stock, right?
Is that not like the worst feeling as like an artist too? Just to be like, oh, I have to do this work, but I can't do it the right way, and I have to do it this.
Yeah.
To me, that's my least favorite thing. Whenever it's like, oh, can you come help me like do this flooring, and there's like not the proper tools, and I'm like, man, this could have been awesome if I just would have had, you know what I mean, the right tools.
Yeah. So if you know you're going to be spending the next 6 months with somebody on the biggest investment of your life, and you want to make sure that they're sensitive to your budget, who you are as a person, getting the right look and feel, you want to be able to connect with this person, and you want to be able to enjoy them and feel like they're smart and that you trust their opinion, you know, because these are big decisions. And so second guessing them now, you're like, I have these looming deadlines. I've got to get answers. I've got this huge investment and I don't trust my designer to get along with them. Yeah. That's just so painful.
And I will say that again, it's not just the designer, you're working with a builder and things will get dropped. Like we just got off a call today and the builder hadn't ordered the primary bathroom tile, you know, and like this is something that should have been ordered that was specified months ago. It was never ordered. Now it's not in stock and won't be in stock, you know, and so now we're having to, but we know how to fix it. A good designer also knows how to fix someone else's F up, you know, like they can pick up the ball and they know the aesthetic and they know like the best next choice that's going to protect you and get you the results that you want. So I think like having that relationship in good standing, trusting that person, they will help your process run smoothly. So, because again, you're working as a whole team. It's not just you, it's the builder, it's the designer, it's all the subs. And if your designer's not good and you don't have a good relationship with that designer, then there's just going to be a massive hole in the whole process. So,
The next question is, how does size or scale of the project matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to be building a large home, we've done projects that are 40,000 square feet for a single residence, 22,000, 25,000. So if you're going to be doing a project that size, a dream home, you're going to be together on this job for 3 years at least on a build. Maybe it could stretch into 4 or 5. You just want the experience of somebody who's done this size of a house because their process has to be really solid to get you through that many years of design and project management, and that they're not going to be an overwhelm or quit making your project a priority because it is such a long process. And you don't want to run out of steam on it. You want to keep that momentum and the systems engaged that the designer has in place for this size and scale of a project. And maybe that's the same with a small home too, right? That they've worked on lots of small let's say you live on the East Coast and somebody that's really good at apartments or brownstones or small spaces, and that they've retrofitted things to fit in these small passageways before for installs, that they know the right people who can take a couch apart and put it back together inside of a room because there's a really small doorway or really short, door heights, or maybe the elevators or maybe you're using cranes to get furniture and windows. There's certain challenges that come with certain cities, and you just want to make sure that that this person has experience doing that scale of project, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah. Would you add anything to that?
No. I will say that any designer, like whether you have experience or not, and you get offered or you get a proposal to do, a brownstone in DC that's 5,000 square foot, you'd be like, yes, this is my shot. I'm going to show them all I got. But like, everyone's going to say yes to that, but you really, as the client, really have to do your research and just understand their capabilities, because like their price might come in lower. And they might be like, shoot, yeah, I'll do this.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a long road. It's going to be a long, painful road, and often more expensive just because mistakes will be made if they haven't done it before.
Yeah, and it'll cost you time, which is going to cost you money, and
So even if the size of the project is small, you still want to have someone that's capable.
Yeah.
For what you're asking them to do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
What's the time commitment on a big scale project? Like, do you commit to a certain time, or are you in it till project's done?
You're just kind of in it till the project's done.
Yeah, and I think you want a designer that will be in it until the project's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is funny, but my brother-in-law, they're in the middle of doing a little remodel in California, and so there was like a kitchen or bath designer that just does that. So like, I think it was a bathroom. So she was like, I'll design your bathroom. It's going to be $2,500 flat. I'll hand it to you, and then you do the work on getting the subs and everybody else. Well, you actually don't start having a lot of questions about your job until you've been handed the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, I'm out of my depth. I don't know how to do this.
Someone's got to read the playbook.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
she's like, no, I'm out. I gave you my allotted time. I gave you the one bathroom that I design all the time for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
For $2,500. And now you just are supposed to put it together. And they're not in the industry. And so guess who's getting phone calls all the time to help them put their bathroom together?
Yep.
Well, Adam's brother's calling Adam, but Adam doesn't know because he's not in it like I am. So I'm like, they should really be calling me, and we probably should have designed it the first time. But now we've got to try and help interpret for them this little quick package,
Mm-hmm.
And now they have a million questions where they didn't in the beginning. But you're going to have a lot of questions along the way, and things are going to go wrong. Like Sue said, the designer, the builder wouldn't have ordered something, or I don't know if there's just things that come
happens.
up.
Even for myself, I just did 2 emergency remodels, and there's things that just happen. And
I think
do this
every
for
project is like that.
For a living.
Yep.
Anyway, so just making sure that you have somebody.
And you got to be able to be flexible and pivot and have a designer that's not going to fly off the handle or get crazy if something happens. We've all got to be flexible, creative, on the spot. It's nice that Suze is an artist because she can sit on site and sketch something out of thin air and be like, well, since that's not working, what if this, or you could quickly throw it into CAD, and just the ability to sort of sit in it with you, because these projects are going to take time.
Solving.
Mm-hmm.
There really is a lot of problem solving.
Yeah.
And be your advocate.
Yes.
I mean, because like the general contractor most of the time is going to, I mean, they care about the project. They care about the homeowner. I'm not saying that. But they work with those subs all of the time. Those subs are their bread and butter for sure.
Yep.
So there's going to be some loyalty, probably leaning more that way.
To the client.
Yeah. So having someone be your advocate is huge.
And I think a good designer is kind of like the connective tissue in a project, right? Yep. You've got the builder, you've got the subs, but you kind of come in and you explain what you're trying to do, and you are communicating with them often. You can sketch for them, draw with them. You kind of
the lingo.
Yeah, you sort of soften the whole thing, and you're also telling the client, "Oh, I stopped by. We totally worked that out." I'm actually more excited now for the change because we did this creative problem solving, or maybe they're part of that. But I think you're often the voice box for the client, and you really are just like the client's advocate, like you said, because you're not working for the sub or the builder. The client hired you to be their eyes and ears on the ground,
Yep.
So.
And there's been lots of instances where we are like on the conversation, having a conversation with the builder, And like, yes, there's an easier answer, but it's not the right answer. And so it's up to us to fight that fight and say, no, this is the way it needs to be. That finish, yes, it's white oak, but you put a gray muddy wash on it and it's not right. I'm going to send you my sample and you're going to match it to that because it can be awesome. And we're going to make sure it's awesome. So match that sample.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Okay. So is when it goes like comes to compensation.
Yeah.
Is that typically hourly or by the project?
There's a lot of different ways to do it. At Alice Lane Interior Design, we do it by the hour, and we've been tracking data on this for 15 years. I'd say the first year we probably didn't track data as much, but we can give somebody a really accurate bid on exactly the amount of money it's going to cost for design, because we always have that, and we're using data software, and we're always tracking that. So we can give a really lovely, accurate bid on exactly what it's going to take to design your whole home. And if there's anything that pops up that you're like, hey, can you just hurry and can I put you on my exteriors as well? I thought the architect had it, but I'm not loving the vision. Can we have you guys take on that? Yeah, you bet. Let me pull the data on what exteriors take, and it will just add a few more hours to the project to take care of that. So you can write a quick addendum to that, and you don't have to feel like you're asking for a favor, because we know all the programming on this, and we can easily get you an answer and add to the project, take away from the project, shift things around. Oh, you found out you're pregnant in the middle of the project. You want a nursery now? Absolutely. Let's make that guest bedroom. Let's make that dream closet a nursery.
Yeah, exactly.
or whatever, whatever it is. There's
Yeah.
always a life instance that comes up in the middle of a job that you need to tweak something. And I think we're really good at adapting scopes for that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how our team does it.
Yeah. There are a lot of designers that do like a flat fee or a flat bid based on like the amount of square footage you have, and they'll have a price per square foot that they charge. We've never done it that way, but there are a lot of designers that do it, and I imagine that there is a method to their theory, and it's worked for them. And so, but I think the most important thing is to have a contract, just to understand like that you're both accountable to what's in writing, and for your designer too, if you are hourly, to make sure that you're telling your client how many hours you think it's going to take. Because that's the biggest complaint we hear from like clients is like, I use somebody, but it was just like this run-on sentence of a design, and we've just been hemorrhaging money for the last 3 years, and it's still not done because there was no like clear communication on like what this is going to cost and what we can expect budget-wise and timeline-wise. So they talk to each other. And so making sure that both parties feel like they've been, they're fair, you have to have that in writing, and you have to like be really, or you're going to get eaten in the pants, the designer, or the client's going to lose out.
Eaten in the pants, guys.
In the pants, is that a thing?
I don't know. Let's
This
make it a
Wednesday
thing.
it is.
Should be, yeah.
You sure are. It's going to hurt. Anyway.
That's awesome.
It is
I
gonna
have
hurt.
3 boys. Oh, man.
I love that so much.
Anyway, but make sure you have a contract. Make sure just like that the money is clearly discussed at the beginning, and that you guys are like in alignment, because this is a long relationship and you're going to become really good friends with each other. If this is a great designer and a great client relationship, you want to become friends. I want to be able to like finish their sentence and like make the call for them if they're in the Caribbean or wherever they may be. And I need to speak on their behalf. I'm their advocate. And so like that relationship will be ruined if money gets to be an issue and isn't clearly communicated at the beginning. So make sure that's clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Regardless of your payment method, like regardless of hourly or flat, you just have to like know what you're doing.
Yep.
Cheers.
Okay.
What can make this relationship a challenge?
I think fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're building, one of those great big homes, then you're not living in it for so long that you're like, this thing's a monster, right?
And the excitement wears out.
Yeah.
Like
No,
a little
does.
bit.
The
But if-
honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
Not
But
design
if the
development,
designer
right?
has a good process and she's like, let's start having you, homeowner, come on site for a site walk in these scheduled events. But trying to keep it interesting, trying to keep the process alive, and that this works best for me, so everybody knows what to expect, then you'll look forward to those meetings instead of dreading them, and that there's a lot of accountability and checklists, and that they can see that this thing is an orchestra, and it's just a rhythm of things that are happening, and the designer knows exactly what it's going to look like. You could even have your your finished elevations staple gunned to the framing so that everybody is still looking at the final product as they're walking through it. Yeah. Because you know, you're just in the middle of delivering a 100-pound baby and you're pushing this thing through the birth canal. And when you're doing it for years, it's
exhausting.
It's frustrating. Yeah. And you're like, why didn't I just buy an existing home? You know? Yeah. Like, this is so painful. I'm hemorrhaging money, you know? So it can make it long. But I think the designer can be like the head cheerleader on the project and just keep everybody engaged and excited about it. Because as the designer, you have vision and direction. That is what you're being hired for.
You're the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
You know what it's supposed to look like.
And you need to be so excited because you keep that finished picture in mind, and whatever you need to do to keep that picture alive for everybody on the team so that they can see it coming together, then it's like a great puzzle happening. At Christmas, you're all sitting around it. You can see it coming to life, and more people want to get involved and be a part of the process. It's fun.
Yeah. I thought of one other thing that could, like, because you asked, like, what can be a strain, right?
On the relationship,
the relationship is if there's like a partnership of like you and your spouse or whoever you're living with, right, that's building and creating this home, if that person isn't part of it.
Oh, good point.
Because we've done that before where they're just like, oh no, she's got this. She'll make all the decisions. And so again, this is a very expensive project. And so things escalate. The bid for the stucco comes back, you know, $20,000 more, all these things. And that becomes a strain on that family's relationship if they don't have like all hands and ears on deck when it's important, when it comes to money, when it comes to spaces that they'll be sharing. Because then if they don't know what they're jumping into and you create this whole thing, we've had that where like we go to install and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Who approved that? And you're like, your wife did. You know?
Yeah.
You know,
and like, she was really excited about it.
Yeah. You know? So, and I think that the projects when we have like both partners in it and speaking their piece and like they're working with each other and we're working with them and it's this grand mediation, those projects end up great because everyone's happy and everyone understands what that finished picture, the light at the end of the tunnel is going to look like after they hemorrhage all their money away. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But truly, it's a lot of money. And if you guys aren't in alignment with each other, anybody making decisions in that committee, then like that will be a strain on the relationship. So make sure everyone's in alignment. Yeah.
Cool. We'll just move on to the project type number 2, which is a one-room
my favorite
remodel. Yes.
Sue Hall's emergency remodel. You went through this. So this is like you just have a project that maybe you're just going to do a quick little remodel to. I'm just going to redo my powder bath, or, you know what, I've been dreaming about a new kitchen, and how complex. Do I need a designer for this one room, right? So how does like a quickie kind of one room remodel, how does that work? Do we need a designer for this type of job? And right?
Yes. The first question with that is, do I need to have a vision for the room before I hire a designer?
Well, I think that you need to know what's not working about the room. You need to convey all of that to your designer because there's a reason why you want to change it. So you're going to tell her, here's what's not working for me anymore about this room. Here are the challenges we need to overcome. Right. And my style has also changed since this house was built in the 70s. In Susan's case, my style is different than the past homeowner's style. And I'm finally ready to do something about it. Right. Yeah. This lavender haze is creeping up on me here.
Where's the spatula?
Yeah. So, or in Susan's instance, my plumbing has failed and I suddenly need to...
The septic went bad.
I suddenly need
forced remodel.
I need to get all new piping, new plumbing and everything while I'm at it. All of these cosmetics have failed. They've served a great purpose since the 70s and now it's time to do tile instead of peel and stick linoleum. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe just better products are available. Yeah. So I think having a vision definitely helps for what here's some examples of bathrooms that I really like. I'm sure Suze, you probably dug deep into. Okay, I have to redo this bathroom and I'm excited about it. Yeah. Thank you, plumbing, for failing. And now mama is going to take the wheel. Yeah. Right. So, but in the case of just anybody that needs to do an emergency remodel or any remodel, you sharing as much visual of here are the kitchens I love or here are the bathrooms I love. Here's what doesn't work about the current space. And since we're going to tear out all the cabinetry anyway, It could be anything, right? So here's how I would love a place to sit down and do my makeup in front of a window. I would love, so yeah, just sharing what your wish list is and pictures of what you like and things that you don't like, I think are also very important. Yeah. So I think you don't necessarily have to have a vision for how it's going to look when it's done, but just sharing things that
You're successful in your head.
yeah, because that's going to help your designer understand your look, your feel, what works, what doesn't work. And then they're going to be able to come up with a really complete design that's going to make you so excited because they heard all of your wishes.
You said.
Oh, thank you, Sue. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does the designer run a room remodel, or is that something like the client does?
Well, at Alice Lane, we don't have like a small construction crew. We have maybe a few subs that we've worked with, like a favorite wallpaper hanger, a favorite drapery person. Mostly, though, a general contractor is going to have a playbook of subs because we don't run the construction on it. So on these smaller jobs, generally the homeowner is wanting to get this done within a budget. And so they're like, you know what? I'm going to play the general. I'm going to use certain subs, but I'm going to shop it because I want to make sure I'm getting the right pricing or that I feel good about the person that's going to be in my house. Or I've got a buddy that's a contractor and he said I could use his subs. So that's generally how these work. But we will provide a design for a space like this as a playbook, give them the finished schedules, all the answers are there, and then they can go about tackling it how they want. For instance, my sister is in the middle of just turning her basement family room into a workout area with a lounge in it so they can still go down and watch TV. But most of the area is dedicated to free weights and machines and whatnot. So we specified a paint color, new carpet, mirrored design for the wall, the layout, all the space planning of everything, a fan, and all new furniture for the lounge area. And as she wants to pay for certain things, then she'll have the painter come and she'll have the new carpet laid and get Jones Paint and Glass out there to do all of the mirror. And now the furniture's on order. It'll be there in 6 months. So she kind of does it at her own pace. On your emergency remodel, this is like not the typical client experience because you were the client and the designer.
Yeah.
But how did you do it with subs?
With subs, again, like we have we're fortunate in the fact that we're in the industry, so I know a lot of people. But most people, as they're embarking on like this remodel, they have the design plan, they know what they want to look like, are talking to people, and they're trying to kind of get their list of like people in line. You know, the plumber, the guy to do the tile, the guy for the countertops and the cabinetry. So they have like all these people in line. You've given them the design, but you are managing it for like the majority of the time. The client is going to be the one like project managing this whole thing and making sure it happens. And it's exhausting. And like things don't, like we said before, things don't always go as planned. And I do this for a living, and things didn't go as planned on several things. And some of the things got better because I had to be creative on the spot. So having that designer kind of on speed dial still to help you like solve for those things, I think is important. That's like kind of the problem with the e-design, I think sometimes, because they just hand it to you. And then like you just have to do the guesswork. And if you're a creative person and you enjoy this and like this is kind of a hobby, you're going to be fine. You'll figure it out. And if you have the good contractor or subs, they're going to help figure it out with you. And it's going to be, in the end, it's going to happen, right? But if this is not your like lane and you have a job and you have kids, it's exhausting. I will tell you, like it was never convenient for me to go meet the plumber or for me to go meet these people in the middle of the day when you have a whole stack of cards already against you, like having to get things done. So it's not convenient. So if you can have someone help you manage it, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. If not, you just have to learn to be flexible and learn to be kind. And you're really just kind of like just gathering all these people to like make this thing happen for you. And it'll get done, but it takes longer than when you have like a GC or someone running the show.
Yeah,
so just understand
because I think
that.
the subs respect the GC too, and the GC's keeping time. But even I'm in the middle of a tiny little remodel that I'm driving myself, and I'm just getting my exterior painted because I have cedar shakes. It was time to repaint them, and I'm having my front door repainted. And I just have one painter. That's it. No big deal. I can answer all the questions. I just can't get him to show up, you know?
Yeah.
Or, it's just like you never know when you're going to get him. Or, so then you're trying to text to follow up to when will this be done? Because we've got a summer party at our house and I've got ladders all over it, and and you said it was going to be done 2 weeks ago, so what's the real time frame? And you're still trying to be nice and jovial, but it's just like fatigue sets in after a while if you're driving your own project.
Yep. Two things
Yeah.
for me to add. One thing that I always enjoy doing, and I'm doing it right now, like if I find a sub that I like, I'm working with them. Like I really like the excavator that I have in Bryan Head right now. And I'm like, hey man, like what framers do you like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who do you like to work with? Or like cabinet guy, like is there a countertop company that you really have enjoyed working with? You know what I mean? They will let you know, because like the cabinet guy, for instance, he's going to be like, oh, I love to work with this guy because he knows my process, is this, and this, and they mesh really well together.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's a relationship that you're going to want to connect,
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and then I'm in the process of telling myself this too, like there's this other guy that's doing the sewer project for me, and I have to text him or call him every 3 or 4 days because we're like kind of getting in crunch time right now. And I'm like, man, every time I like go to do it, I'm like, I'm annoying him. But I've just been telling myself like, he is making me do this. I'm not being like this because I'm annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have to follow up with him because he's not following or getting back to me.
Yeah.
So just like, I don't know, that's been helping myself.
Yeah.
Just like say that like in my head and be like, hey, it's on him. If he has a problem with it and he's bugged with me, you know what I mean? I'll buy him a mirror. That you know, like So
and a lot of times too, maybe they probably do have other big things. So a lot of times, like my plumber, he would come like after work, because that's when I was available, and that's when like he would come do the work. But he had other stuff that he was doing too. And so anyway, you just are kind of dancing, and I don't know, kind of like helping each other. And so that's the thing about a small remodel.
You got to be flexible. Yeah, you got to be okay with things changing and shifting. And I do like back to the point of you're going to have the most questions about your design once the design is done and it's being implemented, and then you're going to start to have questions. So you want to be able to have that relationship with your designer to be like, so this is interesting. They laid that tile exactly perpendicular to what we thought we were going to do. So I came home. It's done. So do we pivot or do we do something, you'll just have surprises. And so you might just want to FaceTime your designer or have them pop over, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so you guys can kind of laugh and figure out how to problem solve.
Yeah. Get to the point where you can laugh, I guess.
Yeah. It is funny. Like it becomes comedic. Like, I would call Jess laughing all the time.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
It's
a good time.
You'll understand my pain.
Yep.
Okay, so project type number 3 is refurnishing.
This is my favorite.
I know. It's so
Lucky
fun.
you, if you just want to do furniture. Like, this is the good stuff.
Yes.
So
good.
Even if you didn't know you want to do furniture, look around your house and be like, you know what, actually, I want to redo my family room, or I hate that office that we inherited with this house.
Yeah.
I
mean, this is going to be the least expensive of those 3 projects, right?
Yeah, for sure.
In all of these, there's furniture. With a new build, you're buying new furniture likely, and you're buying furnishings, right? But this is just furniture. The room is done, and you just need to fill it with furniture. Yeah, a place to sit.
So the first question is, how does a designer know what I like and what I want? Like, what am I giving them to?
Yeah, I think if you're working with a designer, like for instance, we have a program at Alice Lane called Home Furnishing Design. These are designers that all have degrees. They're working in AutoCAD, and they know the Alice Lane Rolodex. We have over 200 vendors. So we're not just like Pottery Barn and all we sell is just Pottery Barn stuff. We sell Alice Lane exclusive products that we design, but we also sell 200 other vendors. So we're going to really understand. And we also work in any style, which I think is pretty cool.
Super unique.
Yeah. And so we're going to just really ask a lot of questions. Like for instance, one of them came up yesterday where a girl was trying to solve, she's doing a family room for a couple. The husband is 6'6" and weighs 280 pounds. The wife is 5 feet tall. So very different skilled humans. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. I see this all the time. I'm like, good for you in the gene pool. You guys you're going to make average height people, right?
Just balancing everything out.
You get a petite with a superhero, and they get normal humans. Anyway, so I think it's one of those things where like, okay, well, let's talk about the type of in this case, it was a man and a woman. So the man was 6'8". So we're like, okay, let's solve for his body. What's going to be most comfortable for him? What does he dream of? And let's get a really tall chair so he can support his back, his neck, his shoulders, all the things. And then for her, she's petite and she likes sitting on the sofa, or she wants her own chair. So then we're going to solve for a chair that is going to be scaled right for her body. And, or, you know, there's so many different ways. So just asking them lots of questions. Do they have pets? Do they have kids? Do they have grandkids? Are they eating in this room? No food's allowed. No shoes are allowed. Okay, that's going to tell us we can work with different fibers. Now let's talk about look and feel. And generally we'll have them come with, you know, finished pictures, beautiful concepts of what they think is beautiful. And then we look at the home, the highlights, what they have. They have big, beautiful windows with a view that they love to face. Or, you know, we just figure out what's going to be the best space plan, what the pathways are. Oh, the kitchen's right there. So this is a big thoroughfare. So let's keep that open. So just really understanding how they want to live, you know, what the current patterns are, what type of people live there, how durable it has to be, and then what style are you? So they just dig deep into it to really understand, but do it with a lot of breadth and depth, where we're not just trying to sell them one brand of furniture. We're really trying to choose something that's stylistically on point for the exact look and feel that they want and how they live.
Yeah, I think also we do the HFD program. They do, and any designer that you're gonna like employ to just help you furnish will do a good job at scaling furniture for the space.
Yes.
So you're like, I want a sectional that can sit 30 people, and they can look at a plan and be like, for a sectional that's not going to be possible, but I can get you seating for 20 in here, but the sectional has to be like this. And so you yourself going to buy a sectional, I feel like sectionals are like the trickiest thing because there's so many different like
pieces and parts.
And only a certain amount will fit into your room and actually be functional and beautiful. And so that's what a good designer that's doing furnishings will know how to do, is to scale the right furniture to get you the function that you need and have it still look beautiful at the end of the day.
Yes.
I pride us in that. I think we do scale very, very well. I think we can celebrate the room because it's an existing room. Mm-hmm. We try and celebrate the room and give you the function of the TV, the fireplace, all these different masters, the view, you know, by the furniture that you put in. So, yeah.
And if there's like more than one master, like Sue talked about, then maybe you have a pair of swivel chairs so you can turn to the view, or you can turn to the TV or the fireplace and not have to stand up. And you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because once you're comfortable, it's really hard to want to get up and move, you know?
And
so
then your 3-year-old comes like, I need something. You're like, oh, I just sat down, I swear.
I'm so tired.
Yes.
Go to your room.
What does the approval process look like? Like, am I as the client, like, you know, approving every little decision?
Oh I mean, within our program, yes, you're not just going to like rooms to go and just buy one room and then here it comes like, oh, I could have sworn.
I'll be back in 3 days and you can like move the truck type of thing.
Yeah, no, you definitely approve it all. And every fabric and finish that you're very well aware of it. We're sending samples to people. Yes. They really understand what they're buying in our program, so that there's not a surprise. This is a really permanent decision for you. I think most people say every 7 to 10 years they're going to kind of remodel or, you know,
refresh.
Yeah. So this is a several year decision. This is going to last longer than most people are going to live with their car. They'll probably have 2 cars by the time, you know, they're ready to change furniture again. So
some people, they're just like, no, I'm just doing this. Like if this is going to be the last time I do it, you know, like a lot of people feel
put their foot down.
I will
doing
say
this once and I'm doing it right. Yeah.
And then 7 years later,
there's a lot of
they're
people
like,
that haven't changed their furniture for a long time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it might be stressed when they hear 7 years, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. This is a 30-year thing for you. Yeah.
Could be.
It could. Yeah. No, honestly, you buy it right for sure. And maybe they're like a recover type because I have a sofa, you guys, that I love. I love the sit of it. I've had it for 25 years and I just am like, I have to have this forever. We call it the cream puff. Well. Yeah.
Is it? That's not your main sofa anymore, though, right?
No, it's downstairs right now. But I just keep thinking about like, oh, I love this thing. I need to reproduce it so it can have babies and keep living in the world. It's awesome. Sometimes something that was made a long time ago is just like you can't get another one. So I get it. I
totally they don't make them like they used to. I don't know.
People
say that.
Used to.
Yeah.
So again, compensation.
Yes.
In refurnishing, how does that work?
Yeah. So we have, 2 different ways of doing it. Our home furnishing design department totally complimentary. You can work with the designer and they will design your room completely with all of our vendors, and then you purchase it. And as long as you're purchasing furniture, they can keep designing for you. We're not just going to design a whole home and then have somebody walk away and shop it. That we only do one room at a time, just to make sure that that's working for them, and that it's still, that we're aligning with them, and that they purchase it, and then we move on to the next room. And it's been really successful. People love the program. On the ALID side, that's Alice Lane Interior Design, where we have the paid service and we're doing full new builds and remodels. We're also doing the furnishing. Alice Lane Interior Design is doing the furnishing on those homes, and we're getting paid to do that with the lifestyle and the home that we've created. And that is a really in-depth process that, takes months.
And that's hourly too. So all that data that we talked about is also collected. We know how long it takes to design a family room, and so that's clearly the expectations are set forth. But I think the nice thing too is if you just need furniture and you don't want to pay for a design service, but you need furniture and you want it done well, that's when the home furnishings design makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because it's complimentary and you still get access to all of our vendors and they're designers, and they do this for that's their every day, all day. They eat, breathe. You're probably not doing this. You might, be at home, with all your kids, or you might be a dental assistant. I don't know. Whatever you're doing, you might not have time or the bandwidth to refurnish, but you want to do it before the holidays because everyone's coming to town. They'll help you.
And they're really good at knowing what's in stock, what can have instant gratification, how to get the look, and they move really fast. And so I think they're experts at getting these rooms put together in a timely fashion and turned around so that you can just start waiting for it to be made, or if it's in stock, just getting it shipped out to your house. And so they know how to play the game.
Yeah, and it's nationwide. So
that's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
What are some of the peaks and pits that, can manifest itself in this relationship? Challenges, things that work well?
I think just just the alignment. If you're not aligned, if you're not communicating to the designer, regardless of honestly, the furniture, whatever you're doing, if you're not aligned with the designer and they can't, again, help you make those decisions or give you stuff to select from, to be like, okay, I love all 5 of them. Which one should I do? I choose 3, option 3, because then it's just going to be a waste of time. So you clearly, as the client, have to help them know what you like. They're not going to be able to read your mind. Yeah. So I think, again, just the alignment between client and designer is crucial, regardless of the size of your project.
I also think on furnishings, having a realistic budget, because probably the last time you bought furniture prices have changed since then.
I can 100% guarantee it.
Yeah, because we experienced a little thing called COVID. Remember that? Yeah. And then do you remember how we're sitting in this economy that we're like, can you believe how expensive Taco Bell is?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Things that
$70 at Taco Bell.
Yeah, things that pricing has just changed. So if we haven't bought furniture for, I said 7 to 10 years, but Sue's thinking maybe 20 to 30 years, the price of furniture 30 years now in the future is just different. And so it's not realistic for someone to think that they're going to get a whole new family room for $5,000. But some people might think that, or let's just say some sweet wife is going to come in and be like, my husband said I have $5,000 to redo this whole room, and they're stoked about it. And you're like, I feel so bad that she's been punked into thinking that that's a possibility, and then she has to go back and say, I'm so sorry, honey, we're going to need to spend a lot more on this project. So I think just being aware of what furniture costs today as you're looking at rooms that you like, that you're also sort of shopping and understanding things and realistically coming to a budget of what you have and what you would think you want to replace, what you'd want to still stick with. If, let's say if your budget isn't going to be, $20,000 to $30,000, that you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to work with a few things that I have for now, and I'm going to get this first layer in because that's going to make me feel like a brand new person. I'm going to get the rug, I'm going to get the sofa and the throw pillows and a pair of lamps. I'm going to use my old side tables for now. In 6 months, I'm going to get those. But you know what I mean? But you'll be excited about them because you've got the design and you're going to work toward it, and you're going to watch for sales, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to get my tables now, and you'll figure that out. So I just think being patient with it as you're putting it together and having a realistic budget is really important, because we're all frustrated by what things cost today.
Yeah,
that's a great answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. That was it.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All 3 projects, guys.
Oh, man, you guys.
I hope this helps. We did record a podcast back in October of 2022. and that was on the benefits of working with a designer. And then we also did one, we answered some foundational questions. It was a 2-part series on the benefits of working with a designer. So you could always go back and listen to October of 2022 to those episodes as you're trying to really understand everything that you want out of a designer. Yeah. You're going to prepare a good list so that you can interview a couple of designers, and then you're going to go with your gut on who you think is the right fit for your project.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I hope that's been helpful, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that this conversation gets you excited about the designer-client relationship. I think it's a really special one. It's like as good as my hair girl, right?
Yeah, no, and like, was it Ray Booth that said like this is like some of the most sacred work?
Yeah.
Or like the most intimate work I think that you can do, because like this is the backdrop for you, regardless of like how big your project is. These spaces are important. Environment is important. And anyway, it should be a really good relationship. You should enjoy it.
Yeah, you should. And I hope talking about the home furnishing design helped you guys. If you guys have any questions about that, just go to our website and you can set up a consultation and let us help you design that room of your dreams. We're ready for it.
All you have to do is like go to our website, alicelanehome.com, and you go to design services, and there's forms you can fill out. If you're just doing furnishings, you go to home furnishings design. If you're interested in a home, like a whole new build or remodel, you'll go to Alice Lane Interior Design, and you can fill out everything there, and we'll contact you.
Thanks, Sue. That's great. We would love to hear from you guys. And if you found this episode to be helpful, please leave us a 5-star rating. And we appreciate your support and your feedback. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We will catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.